Tom Brady has finally retired after 22 years. 22 great years Tom Brady has walked away, and the accomplishments and the accolades are just stunning. Like, if we sat here and talked about everything that he accomplished, we would be here for 3 weeks straight. But, just talking about some of the highlights of his career, whether it's the 7 time Super Bowl champion, 10 appearances in the Super Bowl, 5 time Super Bowl MVP, 3 time regular season MVP. He's first all time in passing yards, first all time in pass TDs, first all time win, 15th in 15-time Pro Bowl selection. I mean, the list goes on and on, Puma. I've got a long list here of all his ranks all time, and these are all first. Like, he's basically ranked first in all of these, and I'll just kind of quickly run through these, but it's kind of insane. Like, he is first in conference championship appearances, playoff yards, playoff touchdowns, playoff wins, Super Bowl appearances, Pro Bowls, total EPA, wins, win percentage first. I mean, there's just so much the guy has accomplished. But, I wanted to, all that aside, I wanted to talk to you, Puma, as the person that has a very interesting story arc with Tom Brady, because for a while there, you really hated Tom Brady. When I first met you, you were not a fan of him. You were a fan of the Miami Dolphins, and he was obviously a direct competitor in the AFC East, and you would come down every year and put up a million points in the Dolphins. But over the years, after seeing what he has done, it seems like you've gained some respect for him too. But I want to start this podcast out with talking about, what does Tom Brady mean to you? Like, when you think of Tom Brady, what's the one thing that you think of when Tom Brady's name comes up? And we'll start the conversation off like that.
I mean, to sound tacky, I mean, you almost have to think of it as the American dream, Jay, right? Like, sixth round pick, 199th overall, split time at University of Michigan, and he finally gets the crack at the NFL with Drew Bledsoe going down, wins the Super Bowl, and then you see like the evolution of Tom Brady become the pinnacle of sports domination as we know it, with all the accolades you just listed, all the titles and all the fame and fortune that comes with that. I mean, that's something every kid aspires to. I mean, you can attest to that, as you grew up essentially as a football fan with Tom Brady when he first broke into the league. Like, I remember watching New England Patriot games prior to Brady with Drew Bledsoe and like the Ben Coates era. Like, every play was Drew Bledsoe to Ben Coates. That's all it was. But I mean, you look at that, and yeah, I'm a Dolphin fan, and yeah, I couldn't stand Tom Brady when we first started working together, and I had a couple of choice words about him. But like, the fact of the matter is to me, I view Tom Brady as like a Derek Jeter type of character. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like, I'm not a fan. How to word this? Like, I respect his game. That doesn't mean like I'm going to love the New England Patriots, because of the accolades that Tom Brady's done. But like, I respect him as much as I respected what Derek Jeter did for the New York Yankees type of deal. So that's my big takeaway from it. We're never going to see anything replicated like this again, despite all the claims that the Chiefs and Mahomes are going to be the next dynasty.
Yeah,
I,
okay.
I, I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. Tom Brady's in an era of his own. Nobody's going to touch that, and we have to enjoy greatness while we had it. Kids nowadays, like newborns, they're never going to understand it. Like, they're never going to understand the arc that Tom Brady had throughout his entire career. But I'm just glad to have witnessed that, even as some guy on the opposite side of the aisle, being a fan of the Dolphins.
Yeah. And obviously, the words that first come to mind for me with Tom Brady are like, winner and clutch and underdog. The fact that he was picked 199, nobody wanted him. I mean, it really is kind of like you said, just a beautiful story. And whoever writes this for Hollywood, like, you can't even make this up. I mean, just a regular, dinky looking kid from San Mateo, California. Nobody wanted him. Basically, claws from the bottom to the top, and eventually gets to a point where he marries the world's richest, best-looking supermodel, has 10 Super Bowl appearances, 7 Super Bowl wins. Like, it's just unbelievable. But when I think of Tom Brady, I think for me, he is the fiercest competitor I've ever met, man. Like, you can just see in some of these pictures where he's yelling, and I've shared these pictures with you over the years. Like, you can see in his face how he becomes a different person, right? At the podium, Tom Brady is this dorky, like, dad next door kind of person. But when he gets in that zone where he comes out of the tunnel, he runs down and he's yelling and fist pumping, and you can just see like hate in his eyes. Like that's what Tom Brady is to me, man. Just the ultimate competitor. And when they do stick his statue up in front of Gillette, I hope they use that as the defining statue for him. So for me, man, he's a guy that you basically can never count out. The fiercest competitor, a mental lion. Obviously, his physical traits weren't the best. He doesn't run he doesn't run the fastest. He doesn't throw the best. But the fact that he can mentally just destroy you, I think that is what Tom Brady is all about, man.